Good morning. Welcome to the porch. Glad to have you guys here today. We got a lot to talk about today. So let's just get us a shot of this coffee. Boy, I got my fireplace going down here in the office and a cup of hot coffee. Life is good. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit about the church invasion there in Minnesota. You know, I have some mixed emotions about those kind of things when they happen. But I guess let's start with this right here. What kind of people in their minds they think it's necessary to go into a church and disrupt the church services that people are having? Pretty disrespectful, isn't it? You know, when I was growing up, when you went to church, you didn't even talk, or your mama beat your fanny. So we learned to respect church services early on, I guess. But these people, what I find out is they have no respect for anything. They have no respect for the law. They have no respect for the Constitution, that people having the right to go worship in the way that they want to. And so I look at that and I realize you're dealing with people that are really not reasonable people. If you gave them everything that they wanted, I think what you'd find out is that they'd just shift gears and go to something else that they'd be disgruntled about and try to protest against and create chaos and all the stuff that those kind of people do. So there really isn't anything you can do to appease them. I'm pretty sure of that. But let's talk about the church service thing, because I never gave that much thought until they did this. I've trained church security teams off and on for a few years and been in church for 40 plus years, I guess, now. And I just never thought of a bunch of protesters coming into a church, but it's kind of telling us where we're at in times, isn't it? Lawlessness, hatefulness, people that just basically insist on having everything their way. And now it's gone to the point that they come in and they terrorize people in a church service. And what you're going to find in most of those church services is you're going to find women that are bringing their kids to church. Hopefully their dad's with them. It's a good thing if he is. But you're going to find a lot of women that are in church service with just them and their kids. And somehow in your mind, you think that's all right to go in and terrorize women and children. I'm going to say something here that may end up being controversial, but that's not the first time for me. Now, that was in Minnesota. Now, I don't know how the people in Minnesota are. As far as I know, I've never been to Minnesota. I've been to quite a few places in my life, but I don't recall ever being through Minnesota. So I don't know much about the people in Minnesota, don't know much about the culture there. But I'm from the South. I know a lot about the South. I know a lot about the culture here. And I would say there's a few churches around here you could storm the church and get in and probably get away with acting that way. But there's a lot of them that wouldn't turn out too good for you. Of course, you people are a bunch of thugs anyway. You're not brave people. You want to tell everybody you are, but you're not brave people. Brave people don't do what you did. But you pick a church or you pick a place to where you think you can go in and terrorize people and get away with it. You're not going to go in a place to where there's men at. Now, before I go too far in this, you're going to say, well, maybe there was some men in that church in Minnesota. I seen a few old men kind of standing their ground in that deal. And so I think there were some men in there, but look at me like most of those guys were my age or older. And don't underestimate some of those old guys. They can do a pretty good job of defending themselves. But a lot of the young men were grabbing their wives and kids and getting out of there, and I don't hold that against them. But here's what I would say you should have done. You should have grabbed your wife and kids and got out of there and just made it plain to any one of them that stepped in front of you, you're between the safety of my family and that door. I'm going to warn you one time to move, and then I'm going to teach you some respect. If you could get your kids, wife and kids out to the car and get them, send them home, get them out of there, get them where they be safe. That's what a man should do. But don't you leave. You go back in there and you show that dadgum bunch of thugs the door. Ask them one time to leave. Don't ask them twice or three times. Ask them one time to leave, and then show them what that means. I know a lot of people say, well, Paul, that's not very Christian. I think it's very Christian. I think it's the most Christian thing you can do to defend your family, defend your church, defend your pastor and his family. I think that's very Christian. I think it's non-Christian for you not to do it. Now, some people are just they're pacifist. I don't hold much to that kind of thinking personally. I think when it comes to your family, you can't afford to be a pacifist, and I don't think it's scripturally sound to try to be. But anyway, if you folks want to really get into some exciting times, I'd say come down in the South, pick you out a church with a bunch of old pickup trucks and old log truck looking or work truck looking vehicles in front of it, and come in there and try to terrorize somebody. You're going to get a whole new experience. It's what you're going to get. I know these old boys down here. I was raised with them. I ran a chainsaw with a lot of them in my early years, and I've seen them when somebody would do something stupid. They have a way of explaining things to stupid people that stupid people can even understand. That may take them, a few weeks to get to feeling better, but they'll have a little bit of time to think about what they did and whether they want to do that again or not. Now I know, guys, I'm laughing about this, but I'm serious, man. I'm telling you, men, listen to me, man. Stand up for your family. Stand up for your church. These thugs come in there, deal with them. Now, if most of you guys that know me know that I normally plan for different types of things, have a contingency plan, so to speak. I got to be honest with you, if you had to come in a church with me in there, I don't know if I'd have had a contingency plan for that because I don't think I seen that coming. I really didn't. But now that it's happened, I would say this to church security, which I don't think I seen anybody in there that looked like they were security. So if you don't have security in your church, maybe you want to reconsider that. But to church security guys, watch this video, talk to each other, and ask yourselves, how would you handle this thing? I actually sat down the other night after watching and asked myself, what would you have done if you'd have been a security person there? Well, we'd have escorted them out of there one way or the other. But now that I've seen it, now that I know it can happen, I would probably lay out a different plan. Now, I'm going to say some things and some people may not agree with it, but that's all right. If you don't agree with it, put in the comments what you would do. But here's what I would do if I was head of a security team in a church. I'd say, guys, that's a possibility that could happen to us. How are we going to handle that? 20, 30 people coming that door. Well, I'd say go to some non lethal type solutions like pepper spray, taser guns. I'm talking about stuff that's entertaining. All right. Well, here we go. But that way you don't have to hurt anybody. Try to avoid that if you can, really. And, figure out a way you'd get those guys out of there. Figure out a way you'd stop them. I'm going to tell you something. I'm a pretty good judge of understanding how people think. As a general rule, if you pick out the one with the loudest mouth that's making the most noise now, and you deal with that one first, the rest of them normally, when you drag him out the door, they'll go with him and they'll leave. And I don't know if that's the exact right solution, but it at least is one solution. Now, guys, I know that I'm just trying to make you think. Think about how you would handle that. And I want you to think about something else, and then we're going to get back on the church thing. If you like these videos, would you subscribe to our channel, because we need subscribers and we need people to watch these things. We're trying to get this thing monetized so that we can continue to do it. So hit that like button, hit that bell icon, that way you get notified when we put out a video. We're trying to put out 1 to 2 videos a week, but hit that icon button if you will. And if I say anything that you think's humorous enough you'd like to share it with one of your friends, well, hit that share button as well. But anyway, if you guys do that, that'd help us. Now, getting back on the church thing, this thing's going to get worse. And as general rule, the churches and their security teams, what they've planned out is if 1 or 2 people come and they're doing stupid stuff, there's usually 4, 5, 10 security people in churches, depending on the size of them, and they'll just drag you out and throw you out the front door if you're going to be ugly. But now, when you get 25 or 30 people, the dynamic changes a whole lot. But keep this in mind: figure out which one of them's making the most noise. It looks like he or she might be the leader. Pepper spray them, take them out the door. Because if you don't pepper spray a few of them, they're going to, when you grab their leader, they're going to fight you. I don't think they're going to fight a whole lot. Those guys don't. What I've seen of them, they don't look like they can fight that good. Seen an old fella the other day fighting a bunch of them. He knocked a couple of them unconscious, and that guy must have been in his 50s. They just picked on the wrong guy. He was carrying the American flag, and they didn't like that. So they decided to get in his face and raise a fuss. And he he gave him some old Southern hospitality. And my hat was off to that guy. I kind of liked him. But anyway, and I'm not trying to propagate violence and things like that. I'm trying to propagate protecting your ground and hopefully not have to hurt anybody. Of course, if somebody comes in there with lethal intentions, then you got to handle things a whole lot different. But here's the way you need to look at that. Diplomacy is a good thing. And if you can use diplomacy to solve a problem, that's good. Now, these people in that church the other day, diplomacy wasn't going to solve that problem. They didn't come in there to be diplomatic. They came in there to harass and terrorize people. But I am one for diplomacy first. But let me tell you something about diplomacy, and I want you to hear me clearly. When you tell somebody to stop, you don't need to do that 4 or 5 times. That's not diplomacy. That's tolerance. You're tolerating stupidity. You tell them one time, and then you show them what you mean. I watched a police officer the other day. A guy had a knife and chased this police officer all around the parking lot. And this police officer had a gun. It's a female police officer. She had a gun, and he chased her all around that parking lot, and he finally gained on her enough she had to shoot him. And I'm sitting there the whole time, and I thought, what are you thinking? You're the only one there with the tools to stop this guy, or at least that's what it looked like. There may have been some armed citizens around there, but I didn't see any. But here she was with the tool to stop this guy, and she was running from him. Now, a lot of people may say, well, that's an admirable thing to do. No, it's not. If he had got to her and stuck that knife in her, then he'd have had her gun, and then everybody in that parking lot was in danger. The reason I say diplomacy only goes so far, and it don't need to go very far. When you tell somebody to stop and they got a knife in their hand, stop them. If you have the means to stop them, stop them. Again, if he'd have got to that police officer, stabbed him, got her gun, now he's armed with a knife and a gun, and he has a parking lot full of people. And he's already apparently pretty crazy to attack a police officer that's got a gun pointed at him with a knife. So I want you to think about what I'm about to say. Somebody comes in your church, you don't argue with them. You tell them, walk out that door. They don't walk out that door. Men, be men. Show them that door. Do what you need to do. If it's one person, you got 4 or 5 guys, oh, you just get in and drag him out the door. You don't have to hurt him too bad. Just drag him out the door. Try not to hurt him. But if there's 30 of them and you tell one of those idiots to go out that door, make sure the rest of them understand you get one warning. A lot of people, they say, well, why do you have to yell at these people 3 or 4 times? Because that's what they're used to, somebody yelling at them and arguing with them. Don't yell at them. Don't argue with them. Do what you have to do. You warn them. That's good enough. Show them. All right, guys. I know this is kind of a country boy's way of looking at life, but I'm 70 years old and it's worked for me for 70 years. And I've warned a few people in my life and I've educated a few people in my life. And even at 70 years old, I'm not to the point I wouldn't do that again if I had to. We here at the Porch love you. We hope we say some things that will help you to think, maybe even entertain you. But we do it because we really do love you. And we're in a world where men have to be men. May God bless and prosper you. And you guys have a safe and good day.